Hi guys, it's me again. I've got my flashlight on today. I don't know if y'all can tell. See, it's brighter. And I did that for a reason. Because I want to go over hermit crab handling with a crab that's like Claire. Okay? Because she is my pincher crab. And she will pinch. And I will tell you, I will go through and explain as to why she is doing that. Okay? But first things first, let me get Claire, and I will be right back. And by the way, y'all, just be warned, she may pinch me on the way up from the cage. But even if she does, that's alright. I'll tell you why. So let me get Claire. She's in here under the logs. I'm just going to pick her up. And she was agitated a minute ago, but she actually let me hold her. She did pinch me a few times, but I'm going to tell you why she acts the way she acts, okay? For one, she's pretty docile right now. For another, she doesn't usually let me hold her like this. So this is kind of a plus and a miracle at the same time. But I'm going to tell you why she does what she does. Okay? When they are in the wild, they are taken, let me get my grammar straight. They're taken from their natural habitat, okay, 95% of them or more from their natural habitat, mostly as young crabs, mostly baby crabs, okay. As you can see, Eddie, Claire, and you never saw Lily, but Lily and Amber were all taken from their natural environment. So was Kex, the hermit crab I had when I was young, and so was Lena, the second crab I had when I was young. So, and Lena and Kex were both Claire size. Kex was a boy, Lena was a female, a girl. So, as you can see, she's got a death grip on my shirt, and when I try to pull her off, she's going to grab me, so I'm just going to let her come off. You see, I just gave her that gentle tug, and she automatically knew. See, she's grabbing me. She automatically knew that she needed to let go. And as you can see, she let go, but she got mad and grabbed me. But the reason why she does what she does is because when they're taken from the wild, they are put in very poor conditions. Okay? Imagine this water bottle, the same size all the way around, no top to it or anything. Alright? The size is about, it stops right here where my thumb's at. Alright? So, think about that. The size of this, alright? And think about 30 or 40 crabs being packed and jammed into this little tiny space. Climbing on top of each other, trying to get out, pinching and fighting their whole way through, okay? So, think about that. For one, they're taken out of their natural environment. They have no idea what's going on. And then on top of that, they're put in a cage where they don't have much room to move around. Okay? And that's the equivalent to us being in an isolation room if we're sitting in the jailhouse. Okay? Eventually, you will go nuts. Alright? And I have never been in there. I wouldn't know. I've never committed a crime. I'm clean, okay? But I will say this. When they're put in that little cage, they are possibly moved around in such a way, slammed on the ground, you know, packed in these little, you remember the, she's gonna grab me, hold on. She ain't gonna let go neither. See, I'm gently tugging her. And she's trying to grab. Let go, Claire. Let go. She does not want to let go. But, you know, that's a good sign. She's comfortable with me right now, as of the moment. And she doesn't want me to leave her, which is a really good sign. Because usually she could care less where I'm at. But the point is that when they're put in those little tanks, I'll show you, if I can get her to let go of me, which she's not, she's going to grab me first. Alright then, I'll just show you with her in my hand. Hold on. I showed you how big the smallest thing they keep them in is, but I'm going to show you how small the container they put them in. And especially at the pet store. This container here, see if I can put this phone somewhere. This container, you can't see it. It's hard to do this and hold that crab at the same time. Hold on a minute. That. Okay, this container here, there we go. This container here, alright, that's what the fish came in. But the box that they put the crabs in are literally no bigger than this at the pet store. Alright, you have to take them home in a box no bigger than this. Alright, that's not even enough room to turn around in. Especially for a jumbo like Eddie. I'm going to put Claire on the floor here. She's starting to pick the sweater out of my sweater, so to speak. But I'm still right here. You're okay. You're okay. See, she's right there running around. Let's get her away from those electrical outlets, though. Let's let her run around right there. Okay, so I'm sorry about that, y'all. She does that sometimes, where I have to stop and take her off and put her down. Stop, take her off and put her down. But back to my point. When they're put in boxes that small that they can't even turn around in, that makes them uncomfortable. Okay, that makes them very shy, very bashful, very isolated of themselves. And that also makes them feel like they're being shut out from the world. Okay? That's why when I purchase crabs, I always keep the box in my lap while I'm driving. And I pet their shell, because I keep the box open. I pet their shell like this as I'm driving. And as you can see, she doesn't mind that. She likes that, because it soothes her. But when they're put in, I know I'm kind of not getting to the point. I apologize. I keep losing my train of thought here. But then you got to think about how they're being sold. If you look up in China, for a good example, hermit crabs in China, okay, how they're being sold. Look up turtles in China, how they're being sold. Look up fish and lizards in China and how they're being sold. Chinese actually the Chinese actually take live animals, and if you don't believe me, look up live animal keychains. You will see it all over the web, okay? It is ridiculous what they do to these animals. It is animal cruelty at the highest, alright? But they put them in little plastic things with like an air bubble in them, with a little bit of water with food coloring. No food, nothing else. That's all they get. And make it into a keychain and sell it. But yet, it's not a big deal to the Chinese government. You know, because they think, oh, well, I can get away with this because it's not a big deal. Well, it's literally animal cruelty at the highest, okay? So, you've got to think about that when you purchase a crab or a turtle or something from anywhere. I mean, if they're in a cage this small, as a carrier, that's okay. You know, you take them, you know, with you to show your friends or something, that's okay. But to keep them in something like this overnight or for the rest of their lives is not advisable, nor is it plausible. And here's the reason why, okay? Because for them, they require so much more of a habitat. You see, she's figured out that I shut her off there. She was going to go back behind the box and hide. But the point is that you cannot, this kind of cage, you cannot monitor the humidity. You cannot keep it up or down. You cannot keep food and poop controlled. And you can definitely not keep the temperature in the container where it needs to be. So, consider 40 or 50 of these crabs, her size or bigger, alright, locked up in one of these, no room to move around, very little food for any of them, okay, and shoved in a box or shoved in a container like I just showed you, alright, and sold out all over the world. Imagine that. Imagine them going through that. Imagine you going through that, as a matter of fact. You know, you just can't do it. You can't fathom what they go through. And the other thing that they go through is this. A lot of crabs that have natural shells, okay, she came with a natural shell. But this is the most important part of the animal cruelty and the lack of care that I'm going to get to as to why she acts the way she acts, okay? When they are, isn't she precious? Oh my God, she's just so cute. She's just over there exploring around. But when they get crabs before they're sold, and you can look all this up if you don't believe me. I don't care if you don't believe me. It's proofs on the internet. Alright? Everybody that's ever seen it, that's all they talk about. Alright? So, just think about it like that, you know. But, getting back to what I was going to say here, is that when they're taken and before they're sold, they have a machine that actually crushes their shell like a pecan cracker or something like that, okay? And that is a huge, huge danger zone for a crab. And the reason being is simply this. When they have a natural shell, like the one she's wearing now, this natural shell here, when she has this natural shell, and they go and they crack it open. First of all, their abdomens are very, very soft. Okay, they don't have any hard exoskeleton on their abdomen. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're holding them if they're molting. In fact, I don't even advise that. I'll cover that in another video. She's trying to climb up my jacket, but I'll cover that in another video. But what they do to these poor crabs, when they crack their shell open, they actually can lodge shell fragments in their abdomen because there's nothing there to protect it. So as a result, you wouldn't even know what's killing your crab. You know, you would think, and right now, until she gets past that, she's not safe anymore. She has been known to try to grab at electrical outlets, so you have to kind of watch her when she gets... See, she's curious right now, so that's all she wants to do is test her fate here. But, or no, she sees that opening, she's going to go to that opening and get behind the dresser. Like a little hamster. But anyway, and I know I don't look like I'm watching her, but I am. I'm watching her both on camera and on what she's doing. She ain't gonna get out of my sight, believe me. But what they do, I'm just kind of letting her walk around. That's all I'm doing. Letting her get that negative energy out. But what they do is just terrible. And then not only do they cut them with the shell fragments, but they actually leave the fragments inside the crab's abdomen. Like, they don't even care, okay, that they have busted the crab open, the crab's bleeding, lacerated, all that mess. They don't even care. All they want to do is put these crabs up for sale and make money. That's all this is about, is money, money, money. And, you know, I get tired of seeing a crab with a painted shell. That's another thing. When they crack these shells open, they force them to move into a painted shell. Okay? And the painted shell is ultimately what winds up killing the crab, or at least being the detrimental part of it. And here's why. When they put a crab in a painted shell, they use toxic paint for these shells. And that means when the paint flakes off their original natural shell, it falls in their food, it falls in their water, and in fact, some crabs... I'm getting sleepy, I apologize. Some crabs have the tendency to pick at their shell because the paint is so hard, because it's put in like 7 to 8 layers. So when it flakes off, it makes sharp edges that irritate their legs. So they will actually lay on the back of their shell and spin around like Claire does when I pick her up, like she's trying to pinch me. She'll spin around and start picking the paint off of her shell. Okay? She's investigating that hole. But, you know, and stuff like that, you want to keep them generally away from. The only reason why I'm letting her do that is so that she can get some energy out. But at the same time, when she gets closer to that outlet, I pick her up and put her back where she needs to be. So I do keep her safe. She hasn't been known to actually try to attack the outlet, but she has been known to get her to start tapping at it. So you want to be careful and watch them when they're around outlets, because they do get curious. But, you see she's going back over there now. She's highly curious. But my point is that my dogs are having a hissy fit. Let me put her in the carrier and see what my dogs are barking at. Apparently nothing, because they stopped barking. But anyway, when you think about that, okay, and I'm not trying to ramble, I'm just trying to watch her and get my thoughts together and all that. I'm going to put her in this carrier, because she'd be much safer in this carrier than she would on the carpet at this point, because she keeps trying to mess with that outlet. And I will put her back in the pen, okay? I never keep them in there for more than however long needs to be in there, meaning when I get done with the video, or when I'm traveling, or when somebody's babysitting them or something. I never keep them outside their natural enclosure for very long, okay? Because again, their humidity level in their body will drop, the temperature in their body will drop, and they will stress, and it could kill them. So just be careful with that. But back to what I was saying, if you look through everything I've said, do your research, look it up if you don't believe me. And even if you do believe me, which I hope you do, but even if you do, still do your research, because you will see all the information that I have said in great, great detail. Okay? So, not only is it just animal abuse that sets them to be like Claire is, okay? But it is also a form of neglect that sets them to be like that. If they're not well taken care of, if they don't feel safe, if they don't feel like they're loved on, and if they don't feel like they're in their natural environment, then they will likely act out like Claire does, okay? And you don't want your crab acting out. You don't. Because it is very painful. And like me, I can take it because I've been through it so many years. I've been pinched for I don't know how long. But, like I said in my other video, she will draw blood. So, you know, you just gotta kind of accept the fact of what she's been through. And just remember, you don't even know how bad it is. Or was. I mean, you don't know what happened to her when she was picked up off the beach. You don't know how she was treated. You don't know, what was done to her, how badly neglected she was. All you know is that she escaped having her shell thrown in her abdomen. And the reason why I know that is because she has actually nearly fallen out of her shell for trying to pinch me. And when she did that, I did examine her very closely. She came, just the very hook of her abdomen was still in the shell. But I folded her back and she fell back in. So, I was watching her at the time. But I did examine her. I saw no lacerations, no evidence of a shell crushing, none of that. So she was lucky to have escaped that. Okay? And some crabs are lucky. But I'm going to tell you the last reason why they act like this, okay? When they're taken out of their natural shell, after their shell is crushed, they are removed from the fragments, without the fragments being removed from them. Okay, they're taken out of the rubble, but the rubble is left inside them. Alright? And then on top of that, they are literally left to be naked. Meaning no shell, no protection, none of that. They are left to be naked and left to fight over any crab who has found a painted shell. Which, as I said, will ultimately be the detonator that kills them. Alright? So, bottom line is this. If you find a crab that has a painted shell, do not even think about buying that crab. Because even though you get them out of their shell. Oh yeah, and that reminds me, there is one more thing that you need to know. When they are put in these painted shells that they fight over, okay, and they actually, some will fight to the death. And there is areas where these crabs are caged and ready to be shipped around the world, alright, where there's just dead crabs laying around, alright, because they fight to the death over a shell for protection. They just leave the dead crabs there for disease, for mites, to infect other crabs. They don't even take the dead crabs and throw them out, alright. They just leave them there for further detonation. If you don't believe me, again, look it up. But the other thing is, when they fight to the death, alright, whatever crab wins the shell, sometimes the paint on that shell is very fresh and it is not completely dry. Especially with the gloss. The gloss that they put on their shell is very, very sticky. Meaning that when they get inside their shell, their new shell that they fought to the death over, with severe injuries from the other crab and the shell fragments, alright, in their abdomen, alright, they actually get stuck to the shell. And you can do your research on a lady that's on YouTube who took a mini screwdriver that you would use to fix the screw on glasses, like eyeglasses with, okay? And she had to gently, for hours, as the crab came out, she had to gently remove the crab from the paint that came in her shell, because it leaked in the shell and it dried her. As the paint dried, it basically glued her to the inside of the shell. And the dangers with this, but let me finish what I was saying about that, about the woman. She will tell you that one false move would have killed her crab. Because all she was trying to do was save its life. Alright? And here's why. If they cannot get out of their shell, and their bodies are basically like chicken stuffing, they're stuffed as far as they can get in their shell, alright? And they are stuck like glue to the inside of their shell, okay? And they can't get out. They will stress, and just like with Lily when she molted, and it killed her because she couldn't get that piece of skin out, well, it'll do the same thing to a crab that's stuck like glue in their shell. They will kill themselves over it, okay? So if you suspect that your crab is rocking back and forth and they can't get out of their shell, you see that they're struggling, then that's a serious sign that they are stuck, okay? And something needs to be done. And it may be deadly anyway. One false move and you stab the crab and you damage vital organs and that's it, they're gone. But it's a risk that you're going to have to take if you want to save that crab. So, you know, you got to think about that. And all those reasons are why Claire acts the way she acts. because she doesn't know what the devil is going on. Alright? You see how she stays isolated? That's how she is all the time. She never comes out because of the things that she's had to go through. Okay? In other words, she doesn't trust anyone. And even though, as you can see, I'll zoom in so you can see better, she's completely out of her shell. But because I'm sitting here, she refuses to move. And it's not because of anything I've done. I have never dropped her. I have never beat her. I have never neglected her. You know, it's nothing I have done. It's just what she's been through and the trauma that when you pick her up, I guess she thinks that she's going to go through that all over again. And in other words, it's her fear that's making her react on instinct to pinch all the time. And at this point, I realize that she will probably never be comfortable being held, never be comfortable being fed with, you know, even when I feed her, sometimes she'll just come out and grab me. You know, it's, excuse me, it's just the fact that she's had a lot of trauma. And some crabs will be like that. So don't be upset. Don't get mad at them, because that just makes them feel that much worse. The best thing you can do is love them for what they are and who they are. And even though they're aggravating sometimes, just be there for them. You know, always let them know that you're not that kind of person. Always. Because eventually, it may take years, it may take a lifetime, but eventually they will realize that you're not out to get them like the rest of the world was. Okay? And as you can see, she's starting to trust me a little more, because every day she comes out a little more. And she's got to the point now, as you can see, she's looking for me. That's who she's looking for. And she's looking at the side of the cage, telling me she wants out. Alright? That's because she's stressing. And I will take her out and put her in the tank when I get done with this video. But, you see, she's very wary of me. But because I keep my cool and I don't react in a frustrated or angry way, you see how calm she is? She didn't used to be that way. She used to keep herself in the shell and not come out. So for her to be out walking around, she really trusts me a whole lot more than what she did when I first got her. So, you know, just don't be frustrated. Just be bound and determined to win. Okay? And eventually you will. You really will eventually. It just takes time. And it may be when they're on their deathbed, on death row. You just don't know when it'll come to them and they'll say, hey, this kid might be worth it, you know? But anyway, that's it for this video. Just do your research, look up what I said. And if I knew how to send you the links, I would definitely do that. But I will write them down on paper and put them on this video before I post it, so that y'all can go straight to it. Alright? And look this up and see for yourself. Because I want y'all to see what these crabs go through. And then you'll understand why some of them will never change and act the way they act. Like Claire. Okay? So, that's it for this video. I hope y'all learned something. And if you have any questions, I know I ramble a lot. I know I lose my train of thought a lot, but like I said, I am new at this. I'm not used to just going up on a camera and just running my mouth and staying on track and all that stuff. I'm new. I just started doing this. You know, I'm not camera shy, but I'm just new at this. So just bear with me, and over time I'll be able to get used to it, you know. And I love doing this. I've always wanted to share my information with the world, okay? So feel free to ask me any questions. I do know a lot about animals because I've studied animals all my life. I'm on the way to be a vet assistant, and I mean, I love it. I really do. And I would do anything to help animals. If I could adopt every stray dog on the street, I would do it. Alright? That goes for a cat, a rabbit, whatever. But unfortunately, there's not an apartment, condo, house, or whatever that would support that many animals. You know? So, and that even includes the ones that are being beaten and abused and killed. You know, like you see these horse slaughterhouses and stuff. Look that up. A horse slaughterhouse. That's a pretty interesting thing too. I'll cover that in another video. Just so you guys can see why I love animals so much. But I'll get to that later. But I will provide the links before I post this. So y'all take care. Take care of your crabs. And peace out.